On today's episode of Cooking with Mickey, we are going to be traveling south of the border to Mexico and preparing chilaquiles from the Mexico booth at Epcot's Food and Wine Festival. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start by making our salsa verde, our green sauce, which calls for 2 pounds of tomatillos. This is what a tomatillo looks like. Has a husk on it. All you do is you just remove the husk from it. And then we're just going to throw them in the pot. Now, many of you might think that a tomatillo is just a tomato. However, it is not. It's not even related to the tomato family. It is related to a gooseberry. So it is actually a fruit. So we'll go ahead and throw our tomatillos in the pot. We're also going to add in 3 jalapenos. Just cut the tops off. Now, if you don't want your sauce to be quite as hot, you can remove the seeds and it won't be as spicy. Then we're going to add a cup of water. We'll bring that to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we'll reduce the heat to a simmer and let it cook for another 10 minutes. Okay. We're going to go ahead and start making our chicken. We're going to add in 1 pound of boneless, skinless chicken. 2½ cups of water. Half a medium onion sliced. 1 clove of crushed garlic and half a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to bring that to a boil. Okay, now that our chicken has been brought to a boil, we're going to reduce the heat to a simmer and let it cook for another 20 minutes or until the chicken is completely cooked. Okay, so we're going to chop our onions that we're going to be needing for our sauce once it's finished cooking. It calls for 1/3 cup of finely chopped onion. And then we'll just set this aside until our tomatillos are ready. Okay, now that our tomatillos are cooked, we're going to turn the heat off. We're going to remove these from the heat and let them slightly cool before we put them in a blender. Okay, now that our chicken is done, we're going to remove it from the broth. We're going to set it aside and let it cool, and then we'll tear it apart. Over medium to high heat, we're going to saute our 1/3 cup of chopped onions. Three garlic cloves that have been finely chopped, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And we'll let this saute for about 2 minutes. Now that our tomatillos have cooled, we're going to add the mixture to either a food processor or a blender. We'll blend this till it's nicely pureed. Now we'll just set this aside until our chicken and the rest of our onions are ready. Now that our onions are sauteed, we're going to add in our tomatillo mixture. We're going to let this simmer until it thickens slightly, about 10 minutes. So we're going to pull apart our chicken now that it's cooled. Now this is a very popular dish in Mexico. And I was just recently in Puerto Vallarta for a wedding. My friend Candace got married, and I was in the wedding party. And while we were there, we got to eat a lot of homemade Mexican food. Her husband's parents have a house that they own and they spend their winters in Mexico since it's so much nicer than being in Tennessee or North Carolina. And they know several people there. And so they had somebody that would come and make us breakfast, and a couple days made us dinner, and then one day they made us chilaquiles. And theirs, instead of being with a green sauce, like the ones that we're making, it had a red sauce. And they soak the tortilla chips in the red sauce. So they're kind of, they're soggier. But however, they're really good. And when they made ours, they didn't use chicken, they used ground beef instead. They were really good. And a lot of times in Mexico, when they make those, they serve it for breakfast and make it with leftovers from the day before. And that's why they soak the tortilla chips, because they're usually stale. Chop our cilantro. It calls for 1/3 cup of chopped cilantro. Go ahead and add this to our green sauce. Mix this in. We're going to place 10 ounces of tortilla chips in a 13x9 baking dish. Pour our green sauce over the top. It smells really good. Now, if you don't like jalapeno peppers, they're too hot for you, you could always do something milder. Or if you like something spicier, you could always use a hotter pepper too. Now we're going to put our chicken on top. And now we're going to add our cheese. We've got 24 ounces of shredded Monterey Jack cheese. And just like with anything else, you can always use a different cheese. And then we're going to place it in a 350-degree oven that we've already preheated. We're going to bake this for 20 minutes. Or until the cheese is melted. Now that our chilaquiles are done, we're going to remove them from the oven and let them cool for about 5 minutes. Now, let's give this a try. It's very cheesy. We're going to garnish it by topping it off with some sour cream. I'm using crema mexicana, just a Mexican sour cream. It's a little bit less sour. And some green onions. Okay, so let's give this a try. Bien. It's very good. Has just the right amount of heat too. With this, you would want to drink a very cold Mexican beer, something like Dos Equis or Pacifico would be great with this. Well, for this recipe and others, please visit srsounds.com and go to the message boards. Adios for today. Till next time, I'm Kristen, this is Mickey, and we'll see you real soon.